Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like. Our series begins with a girl named Jin when she is 7 years old. At that young age, she is forced to take responsibility for a small child. Unfortunately, that child isn't even related to her. He's the son of their neighbors. The boy looks very ugly, and every time she sees him, she makes fun of him and says he looks like something called toffee, so she decides to name him Tofa. Despite that, she always takes care of him because his mother is never around and doesn't care about him, as she's always busy. As the days pass, both of them grow up together. Because of how much she cares for him, she becomes everything in his life. She's the one who teaches him everything, takes her allowance, and buys him whatever he wants. All of these memories get engraved in his mind, and he can never forget them. One day, Tofa goes to Jin crying and tells her that he's going to travel to Thailand with his mother. He decides to leave her a gift. It's one of his baby teeth, and he realizes that she's the only person he has. He gives it to her because he's afraid he might never come back. He keeps crying, saying he'll return to her one day, just so he can see her again and make her whole life happy the way she made his life happy. She also gives him her music player and tells him, "Take this as a memory, so when you miss me, you can listen to music from it." Time passes, and after a long period, Tofa returns from Thailand, but he has completely changed 180 degrees. He has become a handsome young man in every sense of the word, famous, and every girl wishes he would talk to her. The first thing he thinks about when he comes back is calling Jin. He has become a very famous singer and has even changed his name to Arlen. On the other hand, Jin has also changed. She's working at a big company and is successful in her job. While she's sitting at work, she gets a call from her mother telling her that Tofa has returned from Thailand again and that he's going to live with her. She gets extremely upset and tells her friend about it. Her friend tells her, "Your boyfriend might leave you if he sees him living with you." Jin is convinced by her friend's words and becomes afraid of Tofa coming to live with her. She calls her mother, gets Tofa's number, and calls him. She still remembers him as being very ugly. She tells him that she doesn't want to see his face again, and that she also doesn't agree to him living with her because she's in a relationship and is afraid her boyfriend will get upset if he sees him there. She talks harshly, saying she suffered a lot when she was young, humiliating him and hurting his feelings. But Tofa is extremely calm. He simply tells her that he misses her and that he really wants to see her. She hangs up on him abruptly because her boyfriend walks in. He starts talking to her and tells her that he wants to meet her that night because he has something important to say. Later, Jin meets her friends, who tell her they saw her boyfriend buying an engagement necklace. She says, "Of course, that's why he asked to meet me tonight. He must be planning to propose. Honestly, should I say yes or no? You know me." That night, she goes to meet him at the restaurant. The shock comes, dear viewer, when, before she can even speak, he asks her to break up. She's shocked by what she hears and begs him to stay together, but he leaves her. She sits there calmly, orders food, and eats normally, saying it doesn't matter to her because she's used to this. She starts remembering her past relationships. Her first boyfriend left her in high school and got together with her friend. The second boyfriend asked to break up and told her not to look at him because the moment of separation was too hard for him, that he could never be happy without her, and that he was leaving her against his will. She believed him so much that she followed him and watched him, only to find him happily eating grilled food, completely fine. Later, she even sees him meeting another girl and asking her to go to the movies with him. As for the third one, he claimed to love her, but his intentions weren't good. The moment she stood up to him, he left her immediately. Jin is shocked when she realizes that her ex-boyfriend left the restaurant without paying for the food he ordered, forcing her to pay. She calls him disgusting and says, honestly, he's filthy. She wonders why her luck with men is always so bad. As she's heading home, Tofa calls her again, reminding her of their memories. He tells her how much he misses her and how badly he wants to see her. He says he came back to Thailand mainly to be near her because he missed her so much, and that he also has a promise to her from when they were young that he would return to her. She hangs up on him and goes to her boss's house, who is also her close friend. She tells him that her boyfriend left her and that she's upset and doesn't know what to do. He jokes with her, makes her forget her sadness, and she feels happy. She senses that he cares about her and thinks she might end up in a relationship with him soon. The next day at work, her friends tell her about a big concert for a very famous singer named Arlen. We all know that Arlen is Tofa, but she doesn't. When she goes to the concert, they see each other and are immediately drawn to one another, but neither of them realizes they are the same two people from the past. Jin then sees her friend approaching Arlen and trying to get close to him. Jin grabs the gift bag from her and pushes her away, saying, "Isn't it enough that you stole my high school days too?" She humiliates her completely. Arlen hears what she says about the bag and gets angry, telling her she's rude and disrespectful. She gets angry at him, leaves the concert, and walks away. Arlen then finds out her full name and realizes she's his childhood friend. He runs runs after her to apologize, but can't catch her. Later, Arlen appears on a TV interview and announces in front of everyone that he came to Thailand specifically to meet the girl who taught him music when he was young, the girl because of whom he reached where he is today, but he still hasn't met her yet. After the interview, he goes to Jin's old house and remembers their childhood memories, including when she gave him the music player before he traveled so he'd always remember her. Jin's phone rings. It's a child calling her. She talks to him and tells him how unlucky she is, how she lost her boyfriend and her friend as well, then hangs up. She's surprised to find Arlen himself entering the cafe next to her house. She asks him if he's from the neighborhood, tells him how much she admires him, and honestly says, "You look like you're interested in me, since you followed me from the concert all the way here." He asks her if there's someone in her life, or if she's in a relationship. She tells him that there's no one who loves her. She leaves while holding a cup of lemonade on her way home. A child follows her all the way to her house and memorizes her door password. Jin was living alone. She enters the house and starts thinking about her boyfriend, holding the rings from all the lovers who left her before. Later, her friends come over to spend the night with her. Each one of them talks about her boyfriend and what he did for her, while Jin keeps remembering the necklace her friends said they saw her boyfriend buying. The next day, she finds out that her boyfriend has resigned from his job at the same company where she works. She goes to him and tells him, "Our breakup is one thing, and working together is another." He tells her that he can't stand seeing her in front of him, saying this very emotionally. She believes him naively, but suddenly, she finds Kiss coming to his house wearing the necklace. Jin completely loses control. She breaks the necklace, slaps her, and they start fighting. He arrives to take his girlfriend Kiss, but is shocked to find her fighting with Jin. Jin thinks the car outside belongs to Kiss and smashes it. He tries to explain that it's actually his car and tries to stop her, but it's too late. The car is already damaged. In the middle of the chaos, they both fall onto each other, their eyes locking. He tells her, "By the way, I'm going to report you to the police." She replies, "I'm injured too. Look, we're even." He takes her car keys in exchange for not calling the police. She asks him what he's going to do to her. He brings her medicine for her hands, but makes her pay for it as punishment, telling her that since childhood, he was taught that if someone does something wrong, they must be punished. He means her, but she doesn't understand and says that the person who taught him that is very stupid, unknowingly insulting herself. Later, she's shocked when Arlen, the famous star, asks her to go with him to the hotel. She says, "What's this? Are you into me?" She starts trying to look cute in front of him, but he tells her he just wants her to drive him to the hotel because his car is broken, and then leave. She feels embarrassed for jumping to conclusions. At home, she looks at all the rings left by her ex-lovers and tells herself, "Enough, I've had enough heartbreak." Then Tofa calls her. She tells him harshly that she doesn't want to see him, that he was a terrible friend, and that she doesn't want to know him anymore, but he keeps calling. From her words, Tofa realizes she's not at home, so he goes there and enters her house since he knows the password from following her earlier. He calls her and asks for one last thing, to describe the garden where they used to play as kids. She describes it to him, then goes there herself to tell him not to call her again. When she arrives, she's shocked to find Arlen himself in the garden. She asks him if an ugly-looking guy was there earlier. He says no, that he hasn't seen anyone. Suddenly, Arlen holds her hand and feeds her with his own hand. She's extremely surprised. He does this because he remembers that when they were kids, she used to feed him herself in that same garden. Later, Arlen calls her from an unfamiliar number and asks her to come see the car, saying it's still not the same even after being fixed. When she arrives, he asks her to get in the car. He drives and stops by the sea, telling her to look at how the engine stops by itself, as if the car decided to stop so they could enjoy their time together. Standing by the sea, he tells her that he likes her. She asks how that's possible. When the first time they met, he called her aggressive and rude. He answers by hugging her. She doesn't resist at all. She's completely enjoying it, feeling that this is finally true love, the love she's been waiting for so long. She spends the whole night next to her phone, waiting for him to call, but she's happy for nothing. He never calls. Morning comes, and she's still next to the phone, wondering why her luck is always so bad. At the same time, Arlen is buying her some things from a store and sending them to her. When the delivery arrives and she doesn't know who sent it, Tofa calls her and tells her he sent the items. She asks him not to send her anything again and hangs up. She keeps thinking about Arlen and wonders why he still hasn't called. She tells herself that he's probably just a famous star who was playing with her feelings. At work, she sees her friends constantly receiving messages from their boyfriends. She keeps checking her phone, hoping Arlen will message her, but nothing happens. Meanwhile, Topha is inside her house, cleaning it and leaving behind drawings they made together as kids. Before leaving, he hears her opening the door and quickly hides. She changes her clothes and talks on the phone with her manager, while Topha watches and listens. He leaves when he gets the chance. Later, Jin notices the drawings from her childhood and sees that the house is completely clean and organized. She immediately calls Topha. He tells her that he heard everything and saw some things while she was talking to her manager. He also tells her that he changed the door password to his birthday and asks if she remembers it. She doesn't remember anything, so she's forced to enter her apartment through the window. She sits there looking at their memories together and sends him a message telling him that he's not allowed to break into her house again and that he's now a stranger to her. Later, she and Kiss sign a contract together at the company. But there are always problems at work. Kiss keeps trying to provoke her, throwing a pen on the floor to make Jin pick it up, but Jin hands it back to her directly and signs with it anyway, even though the pen was a gift from the manager. When Arlan comes to Kiss's company, Jin treats him badly and looks at Kiss with disgust. She gets extremely jealous when she sees Kiss hugging him. She calls her mother to ask for his birthday to open the door, but discovers that Topha's birthday is actually tomorrow. She calls him and invites him for breakfast to celebrate his birthday. Her heart finally softens toward him, but she's shocked when he arrives, and everything becomes clear. She realizes that Topha is actually Arlan, that he loved that name since childhood. She's confused about how he used to be ugly and is now handsome. She takes time to process everything, then hits him with the pen and leaves for work. He blocks her with his very expensive car, knowing she won't dare hit it again. He insists on driving her himself. He gets close and fastens her seatbelt. The whole ride, she pretends to be asleep so she won't have to talk to him. When they arrive, he tries to get close again, and she tells him she's awake. At work, she finds Arlan's photos everywhere. Her manager asks her to look the other way and tells her, "You look really beautiful today. I'm always happy when I see you." His words make her very happy and encouraged. When she gets home, she finds that the internet is gone and all her belongings have been moved. He plans to live with her without even asking her or consulting her about anything. He keeps trying to talk to her, but she doesn't respond. He tells her that he searched for a reason to love her, but couldn't find any, that he truly loves her for no reason at all. Jin laughs sarcastically and says he's just a child and that she'll complain to his mother like she used to when they were kids. He stops her from messaging his mother. She asks him why he's happy about those memories and tells him that he ruined her childhood, that she never really lived as a child because of him, and that all her memories were disgusting, just like him. Topha remembers how he used to sleep only on her back and admits that he really was a burden. He feels hurt, leaves the house, and she sends him a message saying it's late and that he needs to come back home. He returns immediately and apologizes for everything, telling her that yes, he was a child back then, but now he'll make up for everything. He offers her the food he prepared for her while she was out. After some time, Jin finds out that her manager used to be in a relationship with Kiss and that Kiss was the one who left him. She gets very upset because she had started to like him. When she gets home, she finds that Topha has prepared food for her again and apologizes, then tells her they won't be going home today. At the same time, her manager gets drunk and decides to go to Jin's house. In the morning, he goes there and is shocked when he sees Topha. He asks, "Who is this?" Jin says he's her brother. Topha immediately says, "I'm not her brother or anything." Jin asks Topha to bring a shirt for her manager because she accidentally burned his clothes the night before. Topha refuses. She invites him to breakfast and says she made it herself. He says, "You mean Topha made it, not you, right?" She kicks him lightly to make him stop, but the manager says, "That's my leg, by the way," and the situation becomes very awkward. Jin and her manager go to work together, while Topha prepares lunch for her, so it will be ready when she comes back. He puts the food in the fridge, but when she returns late and doesn't eat because she's busy with work, he brings flowers into her room and cleans and organizes everything. When she stays out late, he calls her and finds out she's at a cafe. She asks him not to come. He agrees, but then tells himself that when a woman asks you not to come, that's exactly when you should go. He goes there immediately and finds her asleep, drunk. He gently tells her, "I'm here and I'll protect you." She passes out from drinking too much, and he carries her on his back to take her home. He remembers when they were kids, and she used to carry him on her back, how he used to get jealous when she talked to any boy, how he brought her flowers and put her to bed. He lays her on the bed and covers her. The next day, Jin goes to work, but finds out her marketing campaign has failed badly, and her manager's attitude toward her changes completely. At the same time, Kiss's campaign is very successful. Jin breaks down and cries to Topha, saying she can handle failure, but she can't handle Kiss's success because it comes at the cost of her own failure. He hugs her, comforts her, and reassures her. Topha had imagined that his life with Jin would be full of love and trust after returning from abroad, but instead Instead, she's always busy with work that consumes her entire life, while he keeps trying to care for her and make up for the past. Meanwhile, the manager gets back together with Kiss. Topha asks Jin whether she was crying because her manager's attitude toward her changed or because of Kiss's success. He tells her she needs to know what she really wants. She asks him, "Do you know what you want?" He answers honestly, "I want you to be the closest person to me. I want you." Plain and simple. He gets closer, looks into her eyes, and asks her to listen to his music. She agrees and goes with him. While listening, she falls asleep on his shoulder. He carries her and puts her on the bed because she's tired, but she holds his hand in her sleep and doesn't let go. He has no choice but to lie down next to her, pretending to sleep. When she wakes up and finds him beside her, she notices she isn't upset at all and says she slept well. He hugs her and says, "From now on, consider it settled. We'll sleep next to each other every day." At the same time, Kiss and the manager are back together, and the four of them seem happy, but unfortunately, things don't stay that way. Jin has a fight with her friend and tells Topha about it. He tells her that she's the one at fault and asks her to apologize. She listens to him and does so, which makes him very happy. He hugs her and says, "From now on, I'll only call you my love." The next day, Jin thinks the manager is waving at her, but she's shocked to realize he's actually waving at Kiss. She didn't know they were back together. She gets very upset and returns to Topha, asking him why all men love Kiss and not her. She asks him if he loves Kiss too. He tells her, "I love you, and you love me too." At work, Jin keeps thinking about his words. She messages him, saying it's impossible for him to like her, and impossible for her to like him, because the age gap between them is too big. She realizes she's actually attracted to the manager. She gets upset when she sees Kiss with him, but he's no longer interested in Jin, and doesn't even offer to drive her home like before. When she returns home and doesn't find Topha, she messages him. He tells her to say that she misses him so he'll appear. She shyly agrees, and suddenly he shows up, revealing that he was in the bathroom the whole time. She tells him about her complicated feelings toward her manager. He asks her directly whether she's upset because of Kiss or because she loves the manager. Suddenly, without any warning, Topha looks into her eyes and says simply, "I love you." She runs away from him, still seeing him as just a child. Meanwhile, Kiss asks the manager to go with her to a play, but he's annoyed by how overly social she is with men. They realize their relationship was only for work benefits, so he decides to break up with her. He goes to Jin, tells her he broke up with Kiss, and asks her to go to the play with him, mainly to upset Kiss. Jin asks Topha to help her choose a dress to wear when she meets the manager. She's ridiculously happy and asks him to drive her there. When she arrives, she sees Kiss at the play with the manager and realizes that the manager has been using her just to hurt Kiss. She leaves heartbroken and tells Topha everything. He hugs her and says, "I'll always love you, and I'll always be by your side whenever you need me." He holds her until she falls asleep in his arms. Her manager calls about an important meeting the next day, but Topha hangs up the phone so she won't wake up. The next morning, Jin scolds Topha for making her late, but he makes breakfast for her and drives her to work. She forgets the pastries in the car, so he follows her into the company to give them to her. Instead, he runs into the manager and gives them to him, and the manager and Jin eat breakfast together. Jin starts thinking about her feelings toward the manager, but tells herself that he could hurt her again. The manager tells her, "By the way, Kiss and I broke up." Just then, Kiss walks in and sees them together and gets very upset. Jin messages Topha saying she's happy and craving spaghetti. He sends her a photo of the noodles he's already cooking and says, "We know each other well. You don't need to explain yourself." She goes home and they eat together. She tells him the food is delicious. He replies, "You mean me, not the food?" She laughs and says she meant the food. He asks her to look into his eyes and say it again. Then he tells her, "I love you too." He reminds her of when she promised him as kids that she'd take him to the zoo and tells her she still hasn't fulfilled that promise. They sit together, reminiscing about their memories. Jin pretends to be extremely tired and falls asleep on his shoulder so he can carry her and take her to bed. The next day, when Jin goes to work, she finds out that her marketing campaign has succeeded. Her manager goes back to treating her well like before, and he invites her to lunch to celebrate the success of the campaign, but she asks him if they can spend a whole day together, not just have lunch. Kiss is standing there at that moment and hears everything. Jin later tells Topha that the manager agreed to spend a whole day with her. Topha gets very upset, leaves her, and walks away. Jin follows him and asks, "What did I do wrong to make you angry?" He tells her it's bedtime and that they should sleep, dismissing the whole thing. She asks him where he's going, but he leaves without answering. After he leaves, she messages him to come back quickly because she won't sleep until he returns. He does come back. Jin moves closer to him and rests her head on his shoulder, but he gently moves her away and instead lies down with his head on her lap, saying he'll take advantage of her a little the way she takes advantage of him. The next day, Kiss asks Jin to come over to her house. When they meet, Kiss suggests they become friends again and also asks Jin to stay away from the manager. Kiss tells her that she truly loves him and that he loves her too, but that he's only using Jin to upset her. Jin is hurt by the truth. She calls Tofa, asking where he is, because she's upset and needs him. He's the only one who can comfort her. When they meet, he tells her, "You missed me and couldn't stay away from me," and hugs her while laughing as she tries to push him away. Jin changes her mind and decides she doesn't want to go out with the manager on the day they agreed on. She asks Tofa what excuse she should give if the manager calls, but she's surprised when the manager calls first and tells her he's sick and can't go out. She thanks God, thinking it came from his side, but then insists on visiting him to check on him because she's worried. She takes him food that Tofa prepared and goes to his place. When she arrives, she finds Kees already there, but the manager kicks Kees out and tells her that he now loves Jin. Jin feels uncomfortable and follows Kees, trying to calm her down and make peace, but Kees refuses to listen. Jin goes back to Tofa, very upset, and tells him she wants to listen to his music. She also tells him she's extremely hungry, has no energy to move, and wants someone to carry her home. Meanwhile, the manager talks to a company colleague and tells him that Jin will become a manager just like him in the same place because she's successful and everyone loves her. As soon as he hears that, he decides to go to her and asks her to officially be in a relationship with him. Jin immediately agrees and is very happy, even though Tofa had prepared a surprise for her and bought her flowers. She goes to Tofa and tells him that the manager asked her to be in a relationship and that she's very happy. He interrupts her, looks into her eyes and says, "I love you," hoping she'll finally understand. But the next day, she goes out on a date with the manager. Tofa sees her walking alone in the rain and asks, "How could he let you walk alone in the rain without taking you home?" He asks her what she even likes about him. She says it's because the manager gets close to her and suddenly tells her how beautiful she looks. Tofa tries to imitate him and says, "You look beautiful today," but then adds sarcastically that experience makes a difference. Later, the manager asks Jin to come to his house. Jin thinks it will be a romantic date, but when she arrives, he only talks about work. She tells him she's hungry, so he'll stop talking about work. Afterward, he walks her home and holds her hand. She thinks he's about to kiss her, but in the end, he doesn't do anything. Then Tofa's manager comes in and brings a small giraffe as a gift for Jin. The manager mocks Tofa, saying, "Do you really like her? You're such a child." Tofa gives Jin the giraffe and hugs her tightly in front of him. She asks him to let her go and sits down. The next day, Jin actually gets promoted at work. She becomes very busy, and Kiss starts getting closer to Tofa and asks him to go out with her in his car. When he comes back and tells Jin that he went out with Kiss, she feels very upset but doesn't show it. She tells him she's also going to her boyfriend's house. Jin asks the manager to get closer to her and show her affection for the first time, but unfortunately, he refuses. Later, they all gather at a party. Jin sees Kiss and the manager talking and overhears Kiss telling him that he's only getting close to Jin to control the company. The manager asks Jin to leave the party with him and tells her that she deserves someone who truly loves her, not someone who uses her. He tells her she shouldn't regret being with someone shallow, but instead be with someone who genuinely loves her, not necessarily him, just someone who truly does. Jin says sadly that she's searched for that person many times, but hasn't found him. Tofa says, "But I'm right here. I'm standing in front of you." She leaves him and walks away, asking him not to follow her, but Tofa follows her anyway, believing that when a woman says, "Don't follow me," she actually wants you to. She goes to her usual cafe to drink heavily. Tofa leaves her there and goes home, where he finds the manager outside the house trying to reconcile with her. The manager asks Tofa where Jin is. At first, Tofa says he doesn't know, but in the end, he tells him, knowing it's the only thing that will pull Jin out of her current state. The manager goes to Jin, and as soon as she sees him, she reconciles with him, becomes happy, and tells herself that she's very weak when it comes to him. She believes that he loves her and smiles at him. At that time, Tofa is waiting for her and messages her asking why she's late. Jin even considers breaking up with the manager, but it doesn't happen. The manager drives her home and asks about Tofa's age. She tells him Tofa is 6 years younger than her. When Jin enters the house, she doesn't find Tofa. She messages him saying she'll be waiting for him in his room. Morning comes, and she finds that Tofa was actually waiting for her in her room, and they were both sleeping in each other's rooms as usual, without either of them realizing it. Jin goes with Tofa to his workplace, and he tells her that his job in Thailand is over, and that he'll be traveling again. He asks her for one simple thing, that they watch the sky together. He suddenly gets close to her and almost kisses her. It feels like things might develop between them, but it turns out to be just imagination. In the end, he smiles and asks her to have dinner together one last time. After that, that, they go out together to throw away the trash, ending the day on a sweet note. Tofa keeps hugging her while Jin laughs, not realizing that the manager is watching them from outside the house. Later, the manager takes Jin to the cinema. He doesn't talk to her or say anything, and she feels confused and doesn't know how to explain what he saw. When she returns home, she's still worried about Tofa, so she goes to his room to check on him while he's sleeping, but she finds him awake. He suddenly kisses her hand. She hits him and says, "Listen, from now on, there will be no hugs and no touching." She hurts his feelings and leaves. She starts taking pictures around the house and sends them to her manager, saying she's cleaning so he won't misunderstand. Tofa grabs her phone and in a playful voice says, "What's this? You're the one cleaning, not me?" She hugs him because he's upset. He says, "What's this? You're touching me now? Didn't you say no touching or hugging?" Then he adds jokingly that he doesn't mind. She's the one who'll end up upset again. When Jin goes back to work, she feels extremely bored. She feels that she misses him and calls him. He answers, "You missed me, right?" She tells him, "No, I called by mistake," and then hangs up on him. Later, Kiss comes to see Tofa. When he comes back and tells Jin about it, he finds her extremely upset. Then the manager calls Jin and tells her that he misses her and that he's on his way to her house so they can go out together. Tofa holds her hand and asks her not to go out with him. He tells her that she spends the whole day with her manager at work and asks her to give him at least a little time from her day. He tells her that if she goes out with the manager, then she's choosing him, and when she comes back, she won't find Tofa. He'll leave and return to America. Jin doesn't know what to do, but she finds herself telling the manager that she's very tired and can't go out. Tofa follows her and says in front of the manager that she has to choose, either him or the manager, right now. The manager confidently replies that she will choose him because she loves him. Tofa tells the manager to stay away from her and reminds Jin that no one dies from love. Unfortunately, Jin chooses the manager this time. The next day, Tofa decides to leave for good. He packs his things and leaves behind only the headphones she gave him when they were young, so she'll remember him, meaning he no longer wants anything tying him to her. Jin is returning from work and meets him as he's leaving. She tells him that if he comes near her, she'll kick him out, but he comes close, kisses her, hugs her, and tells her this is goodbye. Jin doesn't understand anything and asks what he means by goodbye, but he doesn't answer and walks away. She goes inside and finds that he really packed everything and truly left. She starts writing and sadness becomes clear on her face. She tries to get him back and calls him many times, but his phone is turned off. Out of anger and revenge for leaving her, she starts doing everything she knows annoys him. She messes up everything around her, stops eating, becomes visibly weak, and drinks nothing but tomato juice. Her health deteriorates because she wants to die, thinking that will hurt him. Jin asks about him and is told that he now hosts a radio show and that his life is happy. She notices that his life is normal without her. Over time, Jin becomes completely exhausted, with no one by her side. She had grown used to having him around because he cared for her. She cries, not knowing what to do without him. Jin goes to the park where they used to sit together. She calls the manager and tells him she's sick and can't come to work. Suddenly, it starts raining, and the shock is that Tofa appears. He explains that he forgot some things at the house and only came to get them. When he's about to leave, she tells him she's very sick, hoping he'll care for her like before. She asks him when he'll return home. He tells her he won't return until he hears the words he wants to hear from her. He leaves her like a child, then comes back again because he can't leave, saying he'll stay only until the rain stops and asks her not to talk to him. The manager calls Jin, and Tofa asks her not to answer. Jin listens, but Tofa still leaves. Later, the manager comes to her after hearing she's sick and asks why she hasn't been answering his calls. Jin apologizes, explaining that she was sick. At the same time, Tofa is looking at her childhood photos and returns her headphones, which he had kept. Jin tells herself that this time, Tofa didn't promise to come back like before. She cries, thinking these are moments of farewell. Jin goes to the manager and suddenly asks to break up. She tells him that she was wrong and that he loves another woman, not her. She tells him that love fades and that he should go back to Kees. She goes home, cleans Tofa's room, and thinks about sending him a message. She does send it, telling him she broke up with the manager, cleaned his room, and asking him to come back, but he still won't return until he hears the words he wants. Jin meets the manager again and realizes that he doesn't love her. Even when she asked him to hold on to her, he never once said, "I love you." She tells him that Kiss truly loves him and that he loves Kiss too, and that it's right for them to get back together. Jin thinks about going to Tofa's hotel to confess her love, but hesitates because of the 6-year age difference. She's surprised when she finds Tofa entering the hotel. She tries to hide, but he sees her and tells her he's waiting upstairs. She tells him she's coming just to give him the rest of his things. He takes the bag and shuts the door in her face. She knocks again and says, "You know why I'm here." hear. He tells her that if he knew, he'd pretend not to. He says many fans could say the words he wants to hear, but he wants to hear them from her. She says the age gap is difficult, 6 years between them. He asks if he's wrong, and closes the door again. She goes home alone, looking at all the memories of lovers who were once attached to her and suddenly left. The power goes out. Tofa calls to check on her, but his phone battery dies. He panics, runs to her house, doesn't find her, searches everywhere, and finally finds her sitting in the park. When he sees she's okay, he sits beside her and says he'll rest for a bit and then leave. He asks them not to talk anymore, but ends up holding her hand and walking away with her. Later, Jin meets Kiss and asks her about her relationship with Tofa. Kiss tells her that there are many fans and that she's one of them, but there's nothing between her and Tofa. She's just an admirer and didn't mean to hurt her. Jin finally goes to the hotel again and tells Tofa that she loves him. He says he didn't hear her and asks her to repeat it. She does, calmly. He hugs her, and she tells all her friends that she's in a relationship with him. They warn her to take care of him because he has many admirers. Jin starts following his radio program. He hosts 2 girls, and one of them tells him she's a big fan and loves him. Tofa looks at the camera and says that he loves the most beautiful girl in the world, and she's watching right now, so he can't say anything else. Jin feels very happy. At bedtime, she talks to the giraffe he gave her and asks why he didn't come sleep beside her. She tells herself that cheap things are always cheap and worthless. She messages him, saying the giraffe is ugly. Tofa comes to her room, hugs the giraffe, and she tells him she misses him too. The next day at work, she tells him she spent a long time preparing food for him. When he enters the kitchen, he finds nothing ready and asks if this is the food she spent so long preparing. When she appears, he laughs and says it's fine. He doesn't even understand what she cooked, but eats it anyway, so she won't be upset. She tells him that if he likes it, she'll cook for him every day. He tells her no, he'll do the cooking instead. Jin follows him, teasing him, telling him he's the reason she fell in love. She finally gets close to him. Meanwhile, Kiss goes to the manager and asks to get back together, and they do, because they truly love each other. Finally, Jin surprises Tofa and asks him to close his eyes. She takes him to the zoo she promised to take him to when they were kids. She looks into his eyes and tells him, "I love you." And that's our series ends here. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next drama. Goodbye. Our series begins with Xiao. She is riding the bus on her way to university, her very first day of college life. Unfortunately, it doesn't start off well. The bus suddenly stops. Xiao loses her balance and